अच्छा।
ॐ
ॐ
सदाशिवसमारम्भाम्
शिवसमारम्भाम्
शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम्
शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम्
अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्ताम् वन्दे
अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्ताम् वन्दे
गुरुपरम्पराम्
गुरुपरम्पराम्।
ॐ सहना भवतु सहना
सहनावतु
भुनक्तु
सहनौ
सह
भुनक्तु
वीर्यं
सह वीर्यं
कर्वावहै
करवावहै
तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तमा विद्विषावहै
तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तमाविद्विषावहै।
ॐ शान्तिः
शान्ति
शान्तिः शान्तिः
शान्ति शान्तिः।
ॐ तत्सत् ॐ नमः शिवाय
ओम तत्सत।
Okay, so let us, yeah, we had finished verse number 24, right? So we are on verse number 25. We'll chant. Parapremaspadataya
पर
परप्रेमास्पदतया
manabhuvam aham sada
मानभुवमहं सदा
bhuyasam iti yo drishta
भूयासम्मितो द्रष्टा
soham ityavadharaya.
सोऽहमित्यवधारय।
So we saw in the last class that you love yourself the most, right? So there is a quotation from Bhadaranyakya, Atmanastu kamaya sarvam priyam bhavati. One loves oneself, one loves anybody or anything only because one loves oneself the most. Because they are pleasing to me, that's why I love them. So since I love myself the most, what is the corollary? That I want to exist all the time. Things can come and things can go, but I need to be immortal. But I know that this body can't physically be immortal. Therefore, what do? I transfer my affection to other things. My children who will survive me, and in them I will survive somehow. Some building I will put up and put my name on it so that somehow everybody will remember that I am there. Right? Now, in all these discussions, you have to remember that the in terms of Mukhya Vritti, in terms of the uh, real I am immortal always. I have been, I will be, and I continue to be. But here we are not talking about Mukhya Vritti, we are talking about Mithya Vritti, the Mithya angle, where I am the body, mind, sense complex. So he says, Para Prema Spadataya, being the Aspadam, Para Prema Aspadataya, being the object, Aspadam, of Parapremam. Parapremam is infinite, maximum, the most superior love. Drishta iti, the person thinks in the following manner, Ma na abhuvam. Right? Bhuvam is to exist. Abhuvam means not exist. So there are two negatives. Ma na abhuvam. I should never cease to exist. And then what should it be? Aham sada bhuyasam. I should exist all the time. This is a thinking process. Not one person, of everybody. The desire for immortality is unconditional and it is present in everybody. Okay. Now there can be a doubt over here. How can you say that everybody desires to continue to exist, continue to live? How do you explain a person who commits suicide? What would you say? Does this person who commits suicide not violate this rule? Therefore, does the rule not become invalid? The rule is what? The desire for immortality is universal and unconditional. Everybody wants to live forever. But why does a person commit suicide?
Anand part was not there.
Acharya ji, it was a momentary. At that point in time, they go so down, or that they this is forgotten.
His prarabdha, his or her prarabdha determines
You are
the
not right about that. Prarabdha, suicide is not prarabdha. Suicide is
No, it
exercise
is
of
a
will.
deliberate, yeah.
Suicide is exercise of will. In fact, suicide adds to your bad prarabdha.
Of course it does, yes. It is not is desirable or suggested.
You cannot say suicide is a result of prarabdha. It's a question of free will. Just make
Yeah.
sure.
Okay,
Free will that
okay.
death is less painful
Free
than
will.
living.
Very good. So that's the answer. Death is less painful than living.
Okay.
So basically, it is not himself that he hates, but he has a problem which he hates. Right? And to run away from the problem, he thinks that that is a good idea. So essentially, take an example where a person has, which is quite common nowadays, right? A person has a huge debt and he sees no way of repaying that. So he says, okay, only way is suicide to get out of that. But then you have to ask the question, is he hating himself or is he hating the debt? And how do you know the answer? Because if somebody offers to pay off the debt, will he still want to commit suicide? No. Therefore, it is a problem which is disliked, right? Not the not the self. Whatever is the dearest to you has to be the source of Ananda only. And since Ananda is the dearest to me, it must be the greatest source of Ananda. Atma Ananda Swarupaha. And this is what he wants us to meditate upon. Says, Soham iti avadharaya. That dearest one is Ananda. May you meditate upon this and assimilate this. Remember that we are repeating this again and again. Atma alone is loved without any conditions. And if you have to be honest to yourself, everybody that you say that you love, anybody, your parents, your wife, your husband, your children, your brothers, your grandchildren, anybody you say that you love is always conditional love.
In
That's
their states of pure Ananda.
because they're the source of your Ananda. The moment they stop being the source of your Ananda, that is a condition. I will love them only as long as I get Ananda from them. They are a source of my Ananda. And therefore, it is conditional love. And Shastra says what is conditional love can never be real love. Unconditional love is real love. That unconditional love you have only for yourself, for Atma alone. Okay, then of course, there's a question I'm sure which all of you all know the answer to. If you love only yourself unconditionally, how is it that Shastra says that Jnani loves everybody unconditionally? Advaita Sarvabhutanam Maitra Karuna Evacha.
Sarvatra bhava. He has sarvatra.
Means what?
Okay.
He himself, he sees
Wherefore,
himself everybody.
yeah.
Because
He
for
sees
him,
himself.
there is only one. He is
Mm.
Brahman. And if he is Brahman, there is nobody who is different. Everybody is Brahman only. So when the Shastra says he loves everybody, basically he is loving everybody as himself only. Because he is not looking at the bodies. We say when we love somebody, we say that we look at the bodies, right? But he sees the Atma behind the bodies. That Atma which is not different from himself. And therefore he loves everybody. Okay. Let us look at verse number 26. यः साक्षिलक्षणो बोधः
यस्साक्षिलक्षणो बोधः
पदार्थ स उच्यते
त्वं पदार्थ उच्यते
साक्षित्वम् अपि बोधृत्वम्
साक्षित्वमपि बोधृत्वम्
अविकारितयात्मनः
अविकारितयात्मनः.
So we are now winding up the discussion on Tvam Pada. So, Sa Uchyate. It is said, Tvam Padartaha. The lakshyartham of Tvam Padartaha. Yaha Sakshi Lakshano Bodha is the consciousness which is called Sakshi, the witness consciousness. So essentially, Tvam is equated to Sakshi, right? And what is Sakshi? Sakshitvam api Atmanaha. The witnessing function of Atma, that Sakshi is the witnessing function of Atma, which is what? Avikaritaya bodhritvam. Witnessing without vikara, without any change. So normally when you use the word witness, you are talking about a function. There is a change in the witnesser. But here it's a very clear and complete understanding that the witnessing itself brings about no change in the Sakshi. If the witnessing brings a change in the Sakshi, it is not Sakshi. What is it?
Pramata.
Pramata. Right. So let us explain that. Pramata has three components. What are they? Simple. RM, RC, OC. Tatvabodha. Now, this mind, which is the RM, is what they call illumined by the RC. Or otherwise to say the OC or the Sakshi actually, the Sakshi which is the OC available in the body mind sense complex, that Sakshi which is reflected in the mind is called the RC. So when we say OC reflected in RM, essentially it is the Sakshi reflected in the RM because it is the consciousness available in the mind only which is reflected in the mind. Right. So this we talked about last time. The OC enclosed in the mind is a Sakshi. It's a functional designation. That because of the mind, the Sakshi is capable of a function. Just like Ghata Akasha. Because of the Ghataha, the pot, the Akasha which is present in the pot, which is not different from Maha Akasha, can be used to store water. Maha Akasha cannot be used to store water because there is no pot. But Ghata Akasha can be used to store water. Therefore, to differentiate the fact that there is a functional aspect of the Maha Akasha, we call it Ghata Akasha. We talked about this last time also. And similarly, the OC Brahman, which is all pervading Brahman, to distinguish that Brahman from the Brahman in the mind, enclosed by the mind, we call the mind Sakshi. And it is only because of Sakshi that the mind can be a Pramata. And when the mind knows something, what is the process? There is a thought in the mind. Thought is a change, a vikara. Right? Therefore, in the Pramata, the witnessing takes place through the medium of a change. Right? Remember the Chidabhasa, the RC will also have vikara, change. Because reflection will always vary or change according to the reflecting medium. So, the reflecting medium can change, the reflected consciousness can change. But the third component, the Sakshi, it can also be called a knower because it is because of the Sakshi that the mind knows. Mind has a capacity to know. Right? So Sakshi can be called a knower, but not independently, along with the other two. Therefore, the mind is the changing knower, and the Sakshi, because it lends the capacity to the mind to understand, to know, it can be called as the changeless knower. So, mind and RC are changing knower, Savikara Gyata, and Sakshi, the OC, present in the mind, enclosed in the mind, is called the nirvikara jnata. So, technically speaking, savikara jnata is the pramata, nirvikara jnata is called the sakshi. I hope I am clear. That knower which is not affected by any change is called sakshi. That knower which is affected by the change is called pramata. The mind changes because of the thoughts. And therefore, mind is changing knower. Savikara jnata. Sakshi lends the capacity, it is called knower, but it is nirvikara jnata, called sakshi. So, remember that when I say aham brahma asmi, what am I saying? I am purely sakshi, changeless knower. But to be able to make that statement that aham brahma asmi, remember that the status of knower, I am saying I know that I am Brahman. To say that I know that I am Brahman, I must have a knower status. That knower status is possible only in the presence of the mind. And therefore, only in the presence of RC. Exclude the RC, exclude the mind, there is no Sakshi status at all. There is only consciousness, which is Brahman. Any doubts? Very, very beautiful verses.
Umacharya, I have a
Yeah, please go ahead.
doubt. So when you say that Jnani loves everyone, because we know that he or she knows that everyone is self. So basically, that time, that Sakshi Nirvikara knower is the one he Jnani is talking about, right? Or identifying with.
Jnani knows that he is Sakshi and he knows that it is the same Sakshi
Everyone
in different
is
minds.
yes. So now, what is the definition of love in this case? Because when then that normally when we talk about love, that is visible thing that we do something for someone.
Yep.
Yeah. So now the body thing is not here present.
No, that's not
Mind.
correct. When you say I love everybody, is very
Yes.
mind sense complex is present. But you are saying it, you are experiencing the body mind complex, but you are not given the attributes of the body mind complex to the Sakshi. That is all. You cannot say I love anybody without having a body and mind.
Yes. So
But
there
while
is no
saying it, the idea is, are you saying it including the body and the mind of the other person? Then it is pramata, not a jnani.
okay.
See, the thing is, because we are so used to the word I being used as body mind sense complex, that is why I keep on saying, to understand Vedanta properly, every time you use the word I, you have to be very clear how you are using it. When you say I love XYZ, if you are using it as, that person is my son or my daughter or my wife or my husband, then the I is what? Pramata. You are including the attributes.
Yes.
But when the jnani is said to love everybody, the jnani saying that he loves everybody, he has to include the body, mind, sense complex as the instrument through which he is talking. But he is not including the body, mind, sense complex of anybody else when he says, I love them. Because he looks at that person not as the body, mind complex, as the Sakshi. It doesn't mean that he can say that with Sakshi cannot do anything without the body, mind, sense complex.
Yeah. So other person's body mind complex is involved in loving, right?
No. If you involve other person's body mind complex, then it is no longer jnani. Because you're saying, I love this person's body mind complex. right?
So that there is my question, that what is the definition of love there when we say that Jnani loves everyone?
That he will, what do you do? What is your definition of love when you say you love your child?
I would do whatever is good for that person
The Jnani will do whatever is good for everybody.
in bigger scale.
Yeah, yes. Doing means he has a body mind sense complex. That is what is called Loka Sangraha.
Mhm.
His actions are all meant for the good of others. There is nothing he is going to gain from his actions.
So basically what Krishna did in this Mahabharata war.
Yeah, what Krishna did in the Mahabharata war. Not war, in Mahabharata itself. Mahabharata war, he was, his objectives were to set up dharma again. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir
Yes.
bhavati bharata.
Mhm. Oh, thank you.
Which is why I'm saying this simple concept requires mananam again and again and again until it is driven into you. If you don't do Nididhyasanam regularly on this, every time you interact with the world, what are you doing? You are, invoking your ahankara, right?
Yes.
So, as long as you are not aware that when I'm invoking ahankara for the point of my transaction, but I am really the sakshi. When that becomes steady in the mind, then all these verses make sense.
And not only I am Sakshi, everyone else is. That part is, I mean, many times we remember probably that, okay, I am the one, not this body and mind, but like the other part has to be done more probably in my case, like, okay.
You cannot say, I am Sakshi, my husband is not. No. It may feel like that many times. I'm not saying no. Most spouses don't think their husbands or wives are Sakshi. But anyway, remember that they are, essentially. The husband-wife is what? There is no relationship excepting between body and body. When you say husband or wife, it is a relationship, your body with somebody else's body. And you are not that. You are Sakshi. That is the
Yes,
crucial
yes.
point. Whenever you say Sakshi, you have to drop the body mind sense complex.
Sir, Om.
Yeah.
So when we say I'm Atma, or I say I'm Sakshi, then
Yeah.
we are only saying, really speaking, I'm just clarifying that I am Atma enclosed in the mind as Sakshi, if I'm using both the words.
Well, I would say that understanding yourself Sakshi is the last but one step. Because there you are saying that I am Sakshi, but you're saying that I am that Sakshi which is in the body, enclosed by the body. From that, to step forward and say that, I am the Sakshi everywhere, there's only one step.
So that's it. Okay. That's okay. I understand. Yeah.
Okay.
That's the most difficult step, the leap.
That leap is the leap into the unknown. Okay, so anyway, let's look at verse number 23.
Just before we move to the verse number.
Yeah. Please go ahead.
In verse 25.
Yes.
I have got some doubt
Okay.
about the text that I am having with me.
Hmm.
Na bhuvamaham sada. It is, I think, if I correctly remember, what you had said was na abhuvamaham sada. Is it abhuvam or bhuvam?
Abhuvam means not existing. Na means not. It is not that I don't want to exist.
Yeah, but in the text which I have, the verse is para premas padattaya ma na bhuvamaham sada.
Na.
So there is the na bhuvamaham.
Ma
is not there.
Okay, but it is ma na bhuvamaham.
Ma na bhuvamaham.
That's two nas, no? Two negatives.
Ma and na.
Ma means no.
Ma means no, and na means also no.
No, that's way.
Okay.
But you can also take it as Mana Abhuvam.
Okay, because A was not there, that created some
Different
confusion.
texts will give you different
Ah,
you can go
ah,
either way, but
okay,
this is the
okay,
text. Okay.
okay. Thank you.
All right. Now we look at verse number 27. Dehendra manah pranaha
Dehendriya mana pranaha
Ramana Pranaha.
aham kritibhyo vilakshanah
aham
अहं
kritibhyo
कृतेभ्यो
vilakshana
विलक्षणः
Vilakshanaha.
प्रोज्जिज्ञाते शेषभावः
projjigyata
रोज्ञाता
sheshabhava
शेषभावाः
Bhavaha.
विकारस्त्वं पदाभिधः
vikaram
विकारस्त्वं
padavidha.
पदाविदः
Vidaha.
So remember that whenever I say I, at least from the Mukhya Vritti part of you, you mean Sakshi, right? And what is the nature of the Sakshi? And this is very crucial idea because Sakshi cannot be pointed out independently as this is Sakshi. Why? Because Sakshi is always mixed with three bodies and reflected consciousness, right? In short, the three reflected media and the reflected consciousness are always there when we examine Sakshi. The Sakshi, the OC, cannot be there, cannot be understood, cannot be pointed out unless the three things are there. Three RMs and RC also is there. So four things are there. So three reflected media or three bodies, the RC in the bodies and the OC. That is a mixture of Sakshi. That is how you examine Sakshi. And the separation is difficult. The separation of the reflected consciousness from the Sakshi is very difficult. Because you never come to a state or you never are in a state where you can eliminate the RC. Why? Because you are alive only because of RC. So in every avastha, Jagrat, Sushupti, Swapna, RC is there. In Sushupti, it is not manifest. It is not Vyaktaha. But Avyakta RC is very much there in Sushupti. In Jagrat and Swapna, Vyakta RC is there. Okay. What about Nirvikalpa Samadhi? Very much RC is there. Why? Because that person gets up. Right? In the dead body, Sakshi is there. What is missing is RC. So as long as you are in a conscious living body, remember that you have no way that you can access only pure Sakshi or pure OC. The understanding always has to be that any limitation, any localization belongs to RC, but that non-limited consciousness is the Sakshi, is the OC. Right? So the same thing is applicable to Chidabhasa. One can appreciate Sadabhasa. Sadabhasa is what? Sat Abhasa. Existence principle, right? But Sat itself, you cannot appreciate separately. Existence you can appreciate. Reflected existence only you can appreciate, not the existence principle. Therefore, just as Chit you cannot understand, but you can understand Chit in the context of Chidabhasa. Similarly, Sat you cannot understand individually. I mean, if you look at it separately, but Sat can be experienced in the context of Sadabhasa. So whatever you experience as existing, it is not Sat. It is Sat Abhasa only, reflected existence. Right? Now look at the sloka. Tvam Padabhidaha. The meaning of the word Tvam is that Sat, which is Vilakshanaha, is that OC, which is Vilakshanaha, From what? Dehendra mana prana ahankritibhyaha. So Deha is Annamaya Kosha. Manaha is Manomaya Kosha. Prana is Pranamaya Kosha. Ahankriti is the one which gives you the Ahankara, the Vijnanamaya Kosha. And Indriya you can take as sense organs. Right? Therefore, Vilakshanaha means separate from all these, which means separate from the 5 koshas. Right? So here it is the Sat part which is being talked about. That this OC, this Sakshi is separate from the Panchakosha, the Sats. And you have to say, you have to supply, it is also separate from Chidabhasa. Just as it is different from the Sat Abhasa, it is also different from Chit Abhasa. Once the 3 bodies are gone, the RC also goes away, but OC continues. And therefore he says, Projjhata Asheshaha Shadbhava Vikaraha. Projjhita Ashesha Shadbhava Vikara. So Projjhita is a complex Sanskrit word which means Rahita, simple, free from. So Projjhita, Rahita, Ashesha Shadbhava Vikaraha. Ashesha means without any remainders. Ashesha Rahita means completely free from. Projjitaha means free from all modifications, free without any remainder at all, completely free from all modifications. This is the OC. Okay. What about Sakshi? Sakshi is na jayate mriyate va kadachit nayam bhutva bhavita va na bhuyah ajo nitya shashvatoyam pranaha na hanyate hanyamane sharire, which makes it the same as the OC itself, Brahman itself. Right? So when you say Ashesha Shadbhava Vikara Rahitaha, you have to remember Jayate, Asti, Vardate, Viparanimate, Apakshiyate, Vinashyati, Rahitaha. 3 from all these 6 vikaras. Sakshi, of course, is permanently free from them all. So therefore, Sakshi and OC are not different. Sakshi is only a functional name given to OC when it is enclosed in the mind. Okay.
Sir, I'm a bit confused.
Go ahead.
Sorry to ask you this.
Yeah.
This Sathabhasa and Chidabhasa.
Yes.
For instance, we say when we see a stone, the Sat principle is there in the stone, but we are not able the Chit principle. So how does this relate? I didn't get
You have to talk about the Abhasa part.
Okay.
When you say fire,
Yes.
you never experience the heat. Unless
you, there is a body or a
that is a
part
reflecting
to
medium.
it.
The heat is experienced
Correct.
always in
RM.
reflecting medium. Therefore, you cannot say experience heat. You experience only reflected heat.
So, similarly, when we are saying Satabhasa and Chidabhasa,
When you are saying this phone exists,
yes,
it doesn't mean it is Sat. It is the existence principle reflected in that thing. That is Satabhasa.
right. That's why Abhasa. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, Acharya. Got
Remember,
it.
pure Sat and pure Chit and pure Ananda cannot be experienced.
Yes. Correct. Yes.
Okay, verse number 28. Tvamartham evam nischitya.
Sorry, before.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry for interruption.
Yeah.
My mic was muted. That's why I could not. So, one more question related to the same only, that we said that dead body is Sakshi.
That body has got consciousness as well as Sat as well as Ananda. So
Sat as well as Ananda.
Very simple thing.
Right.
Dead body is Brahman or not?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because
Yes.
So I'm just trying to compare it with other jada, like stone, as she said.
Yeah.
So there is a similarity between both of them, isn't it?
Yes. The similarity is that there is no Sukshma Shariram in either of them.
Okay. Okay.
That,
But the other two things are there. I mean,
no, you don't say consciousness is not there. Consciousness is very much there, but the subtle body is not there. Therefore, you don't get a reflection of consciousness. See, the principle,
exactly. So,
basic principle is that everything is Brahman. Therefore,
right.
whether it be a dead body or a stone, it must be Satchitananda. Whether we can experience the Satchitananda or not depends upon whether the reflecting medium is there or
The
not.
medium is there.
Yeah.
Okay. Now it is absolutely clear. Thank you.
Okay. Now, verse number 28. Tvamartham evam nischitya
पुनर्थम् एवं
तदर्थमेवं
या
निश्चित्य
tadartham chintayet punaha
Tadartham
तदर्थं
Tadartham
chintayet
चिन्तये
punaha
पुनः
chintayet
atadvaya vrittirupena
atadvyavrittirupena
तद्व्यावृत्तिरूपेण
sakshat vidimukhena cha.
sakshat
साक्षात्
vidimukkhena
vidimukhena
cha.
cha.
So atadva vritti rupena, you have to break up carefully. Atat vyavritti rupena. Atat vyavritti rupena. Okay, so we'll come to that. This is the beginning of the Tat Padartha Vichara. So we have finished with Tvam Padartha with the last verse. Now we are going to Tat Padartha. What is the Vachyartham of Tat Padartha?
Brahman.
Vachyartham is it is that
Brahman.
Tat Padartha,
Brahman.
and the
What
real
is
earth is Brahman. Lakshyartha is Brahman.
what
Isn't it?
Vachyartha? What is the difference between the Vachyartha of Tat and Lakshyartha of Tat?
Vachyartha is just the word, I suppose, and Lakshyartha is the meaning behind it.
So that
No.
Ishvara is there in
Upadhis.
Tat Bachartha, which has that gross part also.
Very good.
Upadhis.
Yes.
And
Vachyartha is Saguna Paramatma. Saguna Brahman is Vachyartha of Tat. Lakshyartha is Nirguna Brahman. So Vachyartha of Tat will have the three bodies, Prapancha Trayam, and the RC and the OC. The Lakshyartha will not have the three bodies, the Prapancha Trayam and the RC. It will have only the OC. So this we must be clear about. Vachyartha of Tat is Saguna Brahman. Lakshyartha of Tat is Nirguna Brahman. The moment we say Saguna Brahman, the three universes you are including. And when you include three universes, remember they are the reflecting media. Therefore, you have to include the reflected consciousness also. Therefore, Vachyartha is three universes plus reflected consciousness plus OC. Lakshyartha is only OC, Nirguna Paramatma. Okay, so he says, Tvam Artham Evam Nishchitya. Having clearly arrived at the meaning of Tvam Pada, he is referring to the fact that we have just completed the Tvam Pada analysis. Then, Tadartham Chintayet Punaha. Punaha, now, it is necessary, Tadartham Chintayet, to look into the meaning of Tad Pada. And how does Shruti reveal that Tat Pada, reveal that Ishvara? Atat Vyavritti Rupena. Atad Vyavritti Rupena. So that's a very nice word. Tad is what? Is that. Atad is what? Not that. Vyavritti is what? Negating. So Atad Vyavritti, negating everything else which is not Tat. Right? Atad Vyavritti. Atad means that which is not Tat. Vyavritti is the negation. Therefore, Shruti reveals Brahman by negating everything which is not Brahman. And what remains behind is Brahman. So, Atad means Anatma, not that Brahman, because Brahman is Atma. Therefore, Atad Vyavritti Rupena, negating everything that is not Brahman, that is Anatma. This is what? This is your Neti method. Nisheda Vakya Pramana. Once Anatma is negated, what is left behind? Only Atma, which is Brahman. Therefore, Sakshat Vidhimukena cha. Sakshat directly revealing Brahman by Vidhimukhena. Vidhimukhena means by means of Vidivakyams, positive definitions. Vidhimukhena is the Vidhi issuing from the mouth, which is Vidhi Vakya Pramanam. This is the introduction. Okay. So now we will look at the next verse. Nirasta Shesha Samsara
निरस्ता शेष
Ashesa samsara
Dosho Sthuladi Lakshanaha
दोषो
दोषोऽस्थूलादिलक्षणः
Adrishyat Vadiguणakaha
अदृश्यत्वादिगुणकः
Parakrita Malaha.
पराकृततमोमलः.
So in the last sloka, he said there is Vidimukham, Vidivakyam. So here he is giving examples. So he gives the example of one Shruti mantra from Brihadaranyaka, which we have not yet seen because it is in the third chapter. It's 388. That is a reference here. Asthula Adi Lakshanaha. So very long mantra and many attributes are negated. So like for example Asthulam. Asthulam means what? Not gross. Right? Then there is Asthulam Anu. So Asthulam not gross, not Anu, not small. Then it says Ahasram, not short, Adirgham, not long, Alohitam, not red, Asneham, not liquid, Achayam, not a shadow, Atamaha, not darkness also. So there are so many of the adjectives over there. Avayanaksham is not air. Anakshaha. So avayu anakshaha. Anakshaha is not akasha. Anakasha. Then asangam, not attached to anything. Then arasam, having no taste. Then agandham, having no smell. Then achakshusham, having no eyes. Then adrishyatwadi gunakaha. So it's many things are there. And you have to remember, next one is also there, Mundaka, which we already seen. What is Mundaka? Yat tad adresyam agrahyam agotram avarnam achakshusham shotram tadapani padak. So all negations of attributes. So what is Shruti doing? It is revealing Brahman by negating everything which is not Brahman. So the attributes are not Brahman. By negating all the attributes, what is left behind is Brahman alone. So when you say I am negating all the attributes, when all the attributes are negated, what will be negated? All the three prapanchas, all the three universes will be negated, because everything that has got any sort of attribute is part of the universe. Right? So when you negate all the three universes, what remains?
Brahman, Nirguna.
Adhishthanam Brahman.
You better to say that I alone remain.
I.
Because I am the one who negates. Right? And you cannot negate me because
Who is there to negate?
who is that who will negate you? Therefore, if you say somebody else negates me, then there's problem of the anavastha dosha, infinite regression will come. Therefore, you alone remain. Right? So here the word used is asthuladi lakshanam. Atma is that consciousness, Brahman is that consciousness which has no attributes like sthulam, etc. And the other one is adrishyatvat adigunakaha. It is free from drishyatvam, be capable of perception. And therefore, when you say something is not cannot be perceived, it is free from rupa and guna. Right? So, are these all the other attributes? This, of course, is the Mundaka mantra. And then Parakrita Tamomalaha. Parakrita, free from Tamomalaha. Tamaha here means not darkness, it means the darkness of ignorance or Ajnanam. Therefore, Parakrita Tamomalaha, free from Ajnanam, impurity of Ajnanam. And Shankara writes, Tamomalaha means Avarana Shakti of Maya. Is Parakritaha is not present. Therefore, free from the Avarana Shakti. Vikshepa Shakti is present or not?
Yes, Vikshepa continues. The
Vikshepa
world
continues. You cannot negate Vikshepa because the universe continues. Right? So therefore, you have to note one important thing, that Ajnanam is also an object of consciousness. You know that you don't know. Right? If you don't know something, like let us say ask you, do you know Chinese? And you say, I don't know. How do you know? How do you know that you don't know? Because that knowledge that you don't know Chinese is known by you, which is why we say ignorance is an experienced thing. You know that you are ignorant. Ignorance is not just absence of knowledge. It is knowing that you don't have that knowledge. So it is very much an object, positive thing. Right? And Tamamalaha is also can be taken as samsara because that impurity of ajnanam, it brings about samsara only. And therefore nirasta ashesha samsara doshaha. Nirastha, free from ashesha samsara doshaha, all the impurities of samsara. That includes sukham, dukham, ragam, dvesham, lobham, everything is included. You are free from all of that. That is the way you should meditate. Okay. Now we look at verse number 30. Nirastati shayanandaha satyaprajnana vigraha
Satya Pragyana Vigraha
satta swalakshanah purnaha
Satta Swalakshana
Swalakshana
Purnaha
Purnaha
paramatmeti giyate.
Paramatmeti
Paramatmiti
Giyate.
Giyate.
Okay. Now, Shankaracharya has not discussed Vachyartha, right? Because it's directly experienced by you. Therefore, he discusses as far as this Tvam was concerned, we saw that only Lakshyartha was discussed, right? Because you don't need to discuss the Vachyartha of Tvam which is you. Everybody knows that very well. Therefore, he didn't discuss Lakshyartha. But in regard to what the second pada, the Tat pada, he discusses both the Vachyartha and the Lakshyartha. Because remember that Ishvara is revealed by scripture only, by Shastram only. Both Saguna Ishvara and Nirguna Ishvara, both Saguna Brahman and Nirguna Brahman, you can know only through Shastra. And Ishvara cannot be proved by reasoning or science. They can only be supporting tools. You can have supporting logic to prove the existence of Brahman or Ishvara. But directly, logic cannot reveal. Therefore, Shastra reveals Brahman directly. That is called Vidivakya. Vidivakya Praman. How? By negating. And Shastra reveals Brahman in two ways. Swarupa Lakshanam. We have seen these things earlier. Swarupa Lakshanam is direct description. What is the other one?
Tatastha.
Tathastha Lakshanam. It is not Tathastha. 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 Tathastha Lakshanam, which is an indirect description. So first he gives the direct description, the Swarupa Lakshanam. Nirasta Atishayaha Ananda. Free from Atishaya Ananda. What does it mean?
That is the highest bliss.
So Atishaya Ananda has to be taken as that word Atishaya is a gradation, right? So you have first got some Ananda, then you got, and where did we come across all these things?
Taitriya.
Taitriya, Visamanushananda, Gandharvananda, Deva Gandharvananda, etc. Right? So therefore, the gradations he's talking about. And therefore, Nirastha Atishaya Ananda means it is an Ananda which doesn't have any gradations at all. It is free from all gradations. And that we should understand how. What is the Ananda which is free from all gradations? We have to understand as it is not something which can be experienced. Right? This Ananda, which is Brahmananda, is not experiential Ananda. Wherever you talk about experience, the condition of the mind is involved. And therefore, any experience Ananda is subject to the condition and the arrival and the departure of the mind. So all experiential Anandas will be called Satishaya Ananda. Sa Atishaya Ananda. Atishaya here can be taken as the gradation. Therefore, any experiential Ananda, any Ananda which I can experience will necessarily be graded. Right? And Atishaya literally means superior to. That means the superior most, which means there are no gradations there. Therefore, to understand Ananda, we have to recall the 5 principles which we had to understand consciousness. Not a part, not a property, not a product, etc. This you must not forget. So, whenever we use those 5 principles to understand, it is not only for consciousness. It is for existence also. It is for Ananda also. We have to apply those 5 principles. The next one is Satya Prajnana Vigraha. So Vigraha means the very form of, the very swarupam of. And Satya Prajnana is
हेलो you get that बिल्कुल ठीक है तुसी आ गए तुसी ठीक हो
okay, again I have to mute somebody. Anyway, so Satya Prajnana Vigraha. Vigraha means the very form of, the very swarupam of. And Satyam and Prajnanaha. Satyam is existence, Prajnanaha is consciousness. Therefore, that Brahman is the very form, pure form, principle of existence and consciousness. And Satta Swalakshanaha. Swalakshanaha, the existence of that Satta is the Lakshanam. The existence is the Lakshanam. Note that Satyam and Satta, they have similar meanings. Both mean existence principle. When Satyam word is used, it is used deliberately by Acharya to indicate that this word was used in Taittiriya Upanishad, which was the very famous
Satyam Jnanam Anantam
Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. But Satta is used in the context of Chandogya. It is used in the 6th chapter, 6.2.1. Okay, so both being existence principle, but the reference is to show that both are there in the scriptures. Both words mean the same, existence. And then what he is saying is that both Sat and Chit are basic principles. You cannot experience them without an intermediate medium for experiencing. Right? And not only that, Purnaha. So Purnaha means complete. Anantaha. Anantaha, limitless. Limitless means without limitation of time, limitation of space, and limitation of object. All these 3 are not there. We saw that in Sanskrit also. No kala parichinnaha, not desha parichinnaha, not vastu parichinnaha. Kala aparichinnaha, desha aparichinnaha. vastu aparichanna. Paramatma iti giyate. This pure existence principle associated with the samashti is called Paramatma. Giyate. Giyate means has been declared. Declared by whom? Declared by Shruti. Okay. Any questions? No? No questions?
No, that's too much actually going in the mind. I think I will need
All
to
the
do it
three
again.
are very heavy in Nididhyasanam.
You are all advanced students. I mean, this should be the Nididhyasanam happening not during Sunday morning class only. It should be
No.
happening all the time. Only if it happens all the time, you will find that it becomes easier to assimilate. So with this, we'll stop for today. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you, Acharya.
Thank you, Acharya.
Om Purnamada
Om Purnamada
Purnamidam
Purnamidam
Purnat
Purnat
Purnamudachyate
Purnamudachyate
Purnasya
Purnasya
Purnamadaya Purnam Eva
Purnamavaya
Vasishyate
Purnameva
Om
Vashishyate
Shanti
Om
Shanti
Shanti Shanti Shanti
Om Tat Sat
Hari
Om Namah
Om.
Shivaya. Thank you for your patience. Om Om.
Thank you.
Om Om.